So today we talked about karma yoga in philosophy. So you remember that the bhakti yogi is following love and emotions, whereas the jnana yogi uses his or her intellect to get to enlightenment. And now we have the karma yogi, and karma yoga is the yoga of action. It's a very nice concept because in a way karma yoga allows you to live your life as it is. Like you don't have to give up your household, your marriage, your kids, your job. You can continue all this, but you do it in a different way. So the karma yogi has understood that, like we hear so many times in this kind of philosophy classes, that everything is basically already perfect. You don't really need anything more, but we are always on this pursuit of happiness. We always want more, strive for more, strive for more. And the karma yogi has understood that this is actually the cause for unhappiness, and that if you drop that, you might realize that there's already everything there that you need. That's the beautiful idea. I think sometimes you might have life situations where you don't feel like this is the case, but that's the idea. And yeah, so the karma yogi performs his or her daily actions, and so he or she, I'm just gonna say he, but I'm referring to both obviously. So he doesn't think about the consequences or the results of the action. So you might work a lot, but he doesn't think about, okay, this is gonna make me rich, or this is gonna give me fame or something. So instead, he uses this action as almost like a meditation, like totally mindfully doing this action as good as he can, and he knows that that he doesn't have any control over what is gonna come out of it. Like you can work really hard and still nothing happens in your career or something like this, or the other way around. There are so many factors in between your action and the result that you don't really have it under control many times. And therefore you just perform the action as good as you can, you enjoy the action, you put all your attention on it, so that you can't even think about past or future anymore. And you just give the idea of the consequences away, and then they will come anyway, good or bad or whatever you want to label them. And through this meditative action you might become quite happy actually, and this is of course also done in mindfulness training, etc., what a lot of people in the West do now, mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So even if you just brush your teeth, you can do it really mindfully. And he asked us today, do you know how many teeth you have? And in fact, I think probably none of us did. He's like, did you never count them? Like your entire life you're brushing your teeth and you don't even know how many teeth you have. And it really gets you thinking, right? It is kind of true, right? Some actions we perform so many times and we don't seem to be aware of what we're really doing there. So that's the idea of karma yoga. At least the way this teacher presented it. So immerse yourself in the activity, dissolve in it, meditate. Also an interesting idea, you kind of observe the action and you don't really feel like there is an I anymore. You really become the action in a way. And then through this you can get to a state of tranquility. And he said again, all hope is false, because hope is always in the future. I talked about that in a previous video. And again, it's an interesting point somehow. Like whenever you're just hoping for a different future, etc., you're not really here. So it's an interesting idea to really just focus on what is going on now, doing the best now, enjoying what comes to you now, or dealing with the negative things that come, and then life is just going to develop. He said, let life surprise you. Don't be like, okay, in 3 years I want to do this, in 5 years I want to do this, but instead you let yourself drop into it and you let life surprise you. I think it's it's kind of a nice idea. And from a yogic perspective, like the yogis always say, you get what you need at a certain point. I don't say that I necessarily agree with that, but this is the idea, that you get what you need for your development. And so it's like, don't even bother to try to tell the universe like what it is that you want. Like, I want to be married because this is what I need, this is going to make me happy. Maybe it's actually not good for you or something. I mean, that's at least the mindset that they often adopt. And I know a lot of people disagree with this kind of thinking because it makes you feel guilty, like if you can't get something, it's just because of you. But it's kind of probably a peaceful way of relating to events. Yeah. So in this karma yoga state, you have no struggle anymore. You just perform your daily actions somehow selflessly. And yeah, I think that was kind of nice, especially this idea that you can basically keep on doing what you're doing anyway. You don't have to go in the mountains and meditate and give up everything. You can have a family and everything and still perform this kind of yoga. Because yoga is not really about yoga mats, it's about being in the here and now. Then we had anatomy class, and at the moment we talk about all the joints and all the muscles, and on Saturday we already had a long class about that. I didn't make a video that day, and I think it's also so amazing because when I realized that I've been in this body for a long time and I don't really know all the muscles and what they do and how they work together. You know, I've been in here for so long, and isn't that weird, like how we don't know these things? Shouldn't we know by now, like, every little detail of what it can do, etc., instead of just unconsciously using it? Yeah, I think it's really fascinating to me. We talk about the different kinds of movements, abduction, adduction, rotation, the different planes of movement, how you can move, like twisting, you can move like this, you can move like that, etc. It's the frontal plane, sagittal plane, and transverse plane. The different kind of joints that exist. And for example, today we went through this asana trikonasana, the how do you say, triangle pose, and we talked about which muscles have to be contracted and which have to be relaxed. And there are so many of them, and they play together. And we talked about, there's a prime mover, how can you say, a muscle in each movement, like a main muscle that is doing it usually. And there are other synergists that help this muscle. And if you haven't done much physical exercise, then these synergists are not very strong, or they don't work that well anymore with this main mover, this main muscle. And through yoga, you will learn to recruit them again, and they will help you, for example, to keep your posture, etc. It will make everything so much easier. Yeah, I find this all absolutely fascinating, and I also understand more and more why we get certain instructions, why we give certain instructions, like that you put your palms firmly on the ground in certain positions, etc., because it has implications on how the joints and muscles are aligned and working. So it's quite amazing. And then in the yoga class in the evening, we had the first student today doing his teaching, because we all have to come up with our own sequences and then teach a class. And Nora was the first today, the one who was in the car with me on the way here, and she did an excellent job, really beautiful, very, very nice, and with a lot of love. So now in 2 days it's my turn, and together with another one, because we get paired up. And so we're slowly approaching the end, I guess.